So the first thing I think we'll want to do is sort of give a bit of context to our audience out there. So what do you do right now at the moment? Like, where are you working at? What's your profile like?
My name is Tanay Tiwari. I work as an anchor and a video producer at CrickBuzz. I didn't start off wanting to be here, but yeah, here I am. My professional education is that of a lawyer. I completed my degree from the Institute of Law, Nirma University, but then yeah, never got to pursuing law. So that's me.
Uh, how come? So since that you're not doing law right now, what made you think about doing law in the first place? Like, let's start out from there, right? Like, that's where the journey actually starts.
You see, I was always this avid speaker. I loved being on stage. So कुछ भी हो रहा होता था stage पे, play narrations or debates or just fancy dress. I was always there. I enjoyed being on stage. And then plus two happened, and I was not very clear where to go. I knew I could write, I knew I could speak, but I didn't know what to do. And where I come from, Lucknow, it's a small place. There aren't really avenues that you can go in and probably seek career guidance. Which is what happened to me. My father took me to some career counselor. She made me take a test, and she said, "तुम ना लिखते अच्छा हो, बोलते अच्छा हो. ये दोनों काम lawyering में होता है. तुम lawyer बन जाओ." Okay. I took the CLAT exam with a 90-day crash course. Had a decent All India rank. Got into ILNU, and wanted to pursue it really seriously. I at one point there was immense momentum for me to become a lawyer. I wanted to be a constitutional lawyer. I did a moot court competition. We won that. I wrote a paper on sports law that was published in the CLEA ECL journal in the UK. So there were a lot of things going on, but there was no joy. I mean, how do I say? Like every time I
interrupt you there, but as a guy who likes public speaking, didn't you like the whole idea of arguing? Like you said, your natural instinct was to go towards constitutional law, something in litigation, basically. Not exactly the corporate field, right? So even when you're doing that, are you saying you never felt like any sort of thrill doing it? Like, was it not challenging?
No. So you see, that is why when we went for that moot court competition, BR Sony in 2015, I think, it was exhilarating. It was exciting, but it didn't give me, it didn't drive me. I didn't want to get up every morning and say, okay, aaj argue karenge. That didn't happen. I mean, I don't know why. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying it wasn't a learning experience. It was, but it just didn't drive me. I don't know why. And that is why a big reason when I decided to pursue a career as a sports broadcaster and leave lawyering, I kept telling myself that I shouldn't leave any room for regret at that point. So I wanted to try everything at law school. That is why I did a moot court competition. I wrote a paper. I just wanted to be sure. I didn't want to be in a position 3 years down the line and look back and say, "Yaar, lawyering hi kar liya hota." And that is I wanted to give myself, the lawyer in me, every opportunity, to maybe convince my inner self, but that didn't happen.
Okay.
My next question would be like, what were your fears and like, how did you overcome it? Like, when you chose a different career path altogether, what was the thought process like? Like any fears that you had to actually work on and, get one track mind when you started your career in sports?
It's an entire journey. When it started, it was just a seed. It was just a thought. It was just a fascination. And for a very long time, I kept telling myself, "Nahi, yes, fascination hai. Just because you've seen some things, you've met some people, it's maybe because of that." And how many people make it. So all of those things. It's with perception. Perception is huge. You come from places, you meet people, people who know you're doing a law, you're pursuing a law degree, and they know where you're headed. And then suddenly, so I think all of those peripherals were immense. I didn't know how to tell people. I still don't know. I mean, there are people I meet in Lucknow even today. Like I just met someone this morning. He used to be a house help here. And it took me a while to explain to him what I do. नहीं आप तो वकील बनने गए थे, तो मैं कहा नहीं वकील तो बनने गया था, तो क्या डिग्री छोड़ दी? नहीं डिग्री करी, तो करते क्या हैं आप? क्रिकेट, अच्छा खेलते हैं? नहीं खेलते नहीं है, वो क्रिकेट टीवी पे आता है, ओ तो आप न्यूज वाले हैं? ऐसे नहीं, न्यूज वाला भी नहीं हूं मैं कहीं बीच में हूं. So it took me a while to explain. It still takes me a while to explain it to people. So perception was one. Another was I didn't know where I was heading into. there's no, we don't have a formal degree for sport broadcasters anywhere in the world for that matter. There's just no one specific path that people have followed, and I could say, okay, they've tried this, I'll also go on the same path. Everyone that I know of who've made successful sport broadcasters have been either by accident or by just the sheer willingness of wanting to do something like this. So I didn't have a set path. I didn't know what to do. I was just in the dark, but I just wanted to do this one thing. I really wanted to go out there and talk sport. So that is where I picked it from. But yeah, the fears were largely perception and just the fear of the unknown. That point.
We kind of get the way you went into that direction. Like, I think one of the things that, the fear that you mentioned, you said, okay, the peripheral fear was there, the fear of the unknown, that you weren't sure what's coming up next. What about something more practical? What about money? Like, didn't you ever think about that? Didn't that come in your mind? Because as a lawyer, you were going to make a fair amount of money. I'm not saying that you would have been instantly super rich, but you would have been quite well off, comfortable, right? So what about, did you ever think about that when deciding, okay, I want to get out of law, I want to do something like broadcasting as such? Was money not a thought process? Was it like?
No, it wasn't, Michael. I've been very fortunate. With my family. I mean, money wasn't really a differentiator. I mean, it was growing up, but my parents have worked very hard to, kind of put both me and my brother in a kind of a position where we don't have to think of money instantly. Like when I'm earning, I don't need to send a particular amount back home. It's usually the other way around. So money was never a differentiator. But yeah, it was purely passion driven at that point, and it still is today.
And what about now? Like now it's been about a few years since then, right? For example, do you ever have that thought process that if I've been a lawyer, the kind of money
I do now. Absolutely. Every day. And that is why. So it was for this day that I gave the lawyer in me every chance of succeeding back then. Because I knew this day would come. And, I don't want to be a fortune foreteller or something like that. But I knew there's going to be a point in the future where I look back and say, I should have been a lawyer, man. Because I see my lawyer friends now and they make way more money than I do. Way more money than I do. I mean, at a point when I'm contemplating buying a bicycle, they're looking at new Hyundai Venue prices and all of that. And I go, this is what 2 years into the job. I'm saying, where are you getting all this money from? So yeah, that is one thing. But yeah, jealousy is a human emotion. I get that. But no, it's.
But do you think it balances out? You get from your job?
Absolutely. Every day I live with a lawyer friend of mine, and I know he's going to kill me for saying this, but I see his face every day in the morning, man. He's never, I mean,
they're pretty visible at times.
He's like, yaar, main raat ko 2 baje tak kaam kiya, now they've rejected my document, I have to do it again.
Yeah.
And every night I work till, during the IPL, during the World Cup, I have these long hours, and I get back home the next morning, I am out with maybe with more dark circles, but with a big smile on my face. I'm like, aaj Ireland or Pakistan ka match hai yaar, maza aayega. I knew this Kevin O'Brien is going to do something. And he's like, tu pagal ho gaya kya? Tu raat ko aaya hai, tu abhi fir se ja raha hai. Don't you want some rest? And that is where I realized that, yeah, it's fine. I mean, the money part kind of balances out here.
Okay.
So I'm sure the viewers who are going to watch you talk right now, they would want to know about your upcoming plans and, what are your new projects that you're working on? What should we look forward to? Why don't you talk about that?
Stuff coming in. Thankfully, with the IPL now announced, due to happen in the UAE, I will be doing. I can't really give out the specifics, but there's a new show that I'm going to be doing on Crickbuzz. It'll be related to fantasy sports. I'm already doing a weekly news show, Buzz This Week. I do match analysis post every game, so that's a match story. And then there are a couple of other things that'll be up and running super soon with the IPL ongoing. But yeah, I can't give out the details. I'm so sorry. We've just chalked that out last night. Yeah.
Oh, good to know that you have a busy schedule coming up. So we'll look forward to seeing you on the screen then.
What we're trying to understand here is that if you don't want to do laws, I mean, there are other options as well. I mean, what do you think is really important for people to find as if they want to get out of law? Well, what do you think they really need to identify more than anything else?
It's just the joy of doing work. And I know it sounds very, very motivational speakerish, but that's true, man. I mean, uh, if you get up every morning and wants to do your work, and I understand that sometimes the something that you do and something that you love can also become taxing, right? I'm not for a moment saying that my work is not taxing. Sometimes I just sit back and say, what is going on, right? But I still derive joy out of it. I'm still looking forward to the next assignment, right? If you're getting that in the law, nothing like it. You've found your calling. If you haven't, and if there is something that you can do, give it a try. I think now is perhaps one of the better times to try and do that. I mean, as uh, it is, of course, a global pandemic, and I shouldn't be saying that, but it's with a
But
lot of free.
in the midst
Yeah,
of this sort of chaos, this opportunity does come about as well. That, if you do have some kind of passion, you can actually pursue it right now.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've a couple of days back, I think I spoke to this one student from an MBA college in Bengaluru. He's from Kanpur, and he said, "Can I do an interview with you?" And he was very passionate. He wants to be a sport broadcaster. So what he did was he had Zoom. He had a Wi-Fi connection at home. He just kept sending these messages to all the sport broadcasters. Everyone who said yes, he interviewed them. He's honing his skills. He kept talking to me about how he could improve. So this is like it's like his informal education. So people are finding opportunities in this chaos. You're right, and this is perhaps one of the better times to just.
And what about people who have that, like you didn't have those fears, like you said, you didn't have the fear about money, you didn't have the fear about the peripherals or people's perspective, or so to speak, right? Like even if people doubted you and stuff like that. What about someone who does have those? What would you say to them?
I'd say seriously, the only thing I understand is cricket. Law बहुत पहले मैंने छोड़ दिया, तो I don't have a lot of clue about it. But I always try and give this analogy to people. You see, it and everyone's story is different, right? So in cricket also, it's very different. My friend and I could be making a debut at the same time, right? But we could be in drastically different situations, right? I might go out to bat at number 3 with the score reading 200 for 1, right? On a flat Rajkot pitch where a century is guaranteed. My friend, who's perhaps a better cricketer than me, might be going out to bat at Old Trafford with the ball swinging, overcast conditions, bowlers bowling with their tails up. And he's looking at me and he's going like, yaar, maine kya galat kiya hai? Mera training iske jaisa hai. Maybe I can hit a few shots better than him. Then why is he there and why am I here? But I think in that one scenario, if you realize that if I score a century in Rajkot, it's not going to matter because it's a flat pitch. Everyone knows that. But if you're going out to bat with your team 36 for 5, you can go out there and score a gritty 30 of 70 balls. It's
And
all going to be all right.
Yeah, that's a good debut.
Yeah, that's more valuable to the team. And I kid you not, it's not like I didn't have the peripherals and the issues with regard to money to deal with, but I've had hard times. I've had hard times on this journey. And I think the one thing that kept me on the path of this journey was always knowing that one day it's going to happen. Your pitch right now is moist, the ball is moving, just keep at it. One day the sun is going to shine, the pitch is going to be.
A lot of cricket analogies and metaphors.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah. So, but yeah, just keep at it. One day it's all going to be fine. You'll get that one ball outside your off stump, drive it, and it's going to be all right post that. But yeah, just hang in there. Tough times don't last. They don't. Trust me.
Okay. All right. I think Nikki, do you have any questions from your side to Tanay?
No, Tanay, I think I'm good. It was lovely having you with us, and get your thoughts and your insights about you doing so amazingly well in your career and how law has sort of played a role, which is good. And I'm sure everybody who will be listening to you and hearing this interview out, it'll give them some hope that finishing law, getting a law degree is not the end of the world. There's so many other things that you can look at.
Like what you do as well, man. I mean, I've never heard someone throw in so many sports metaphors in as such a short time.
Yeah.
Good job. This was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you,
guys.
Good day. Take care. Bye.